everybody, Eric again. Like and subscribe. Here we go. Let's continue reading about the 5th millennium BC. The Caribbean. Trinidad continues from the 6th to 5th millennium onwards to hold the Otaoid archaeological tradition, being the first part of the Caribbean to be settled prior to 3500 BC. Some of the earliest known villages appear along sea coasts, especially the Chepias and Caribbean coasts. It is likely that the abundant sea and lagoon resources could easily support long-term via sea travel and year-round settlements, leading people to settle first in these areas. Shell mounds in these areas are highly visible, which likely aided in their identification by scholars. Examples like Cerro de las Conchas, which dates between 5500 and 3500 BC, appearing to have been a sea resource collection and processing site. While it seems Cerro de las Conchas was only occupied seasonally, it seems likely that inland base camps were occupied year-round. South America. Significant occupation of the Colombian Caribbean coast by polities encompassing sedentary populations has been documented to have occurred by circa 4000 BC. The event Mexican agriculturalists, culture, and polities expanded and developed their agricultural practices for millennia now, alongside their southern intensive trading networks and tilt. Rites of fertility brought maize, an ingredient vital for urban civilization, was brought to South America. Muisca origin circa 5000 BC in Soacha, Turcadama, Fells, and through there, unrelated expansion northwards, intensive maize production and permanent settlements are formed, distinguishing them from tribes and other polities. Potentially, they carried with them major constituent groups of the Proto-Chukchan language. This is where legendary hero Buchica is said to have once lived. Alongside the Muisca, the Torona, located in present-day Colombia, also began to shift towards long-term permanent settlements with agriculture. This shift for these two groups gives them population advantages over other groups. The Amazon rainforest, with earlier source agricultural polities, experiences migrations and colonization of these now more advanced agriculturalist chiefdoms. With their permanent settlements, conflicts with native tribes in more remote regions would have arose, rather than being a pristine wilderness, has been shaped by man for at least 11,000 years through practices such as forest gardening, development of terra malata soils, for fertility construction of highways, trade routes, and large complex chiefdoms. Ancient sites was a major trading hub in Peru, Perdines, and Huancapeta. In connection to the trading networks to Mexico, maize was formed here as early as 4700 BCE, representing networks of trade and agricultural selective breeding, spanning over millennia. Peoples living in complex sedentary structures along the coast of northern Peru were already eating corn by that time. Peruvian advances the side of the world in domestication of llamas and alpacas since at least 6000 BC for the transportation of goods and dung for fertilizer, increases economic growth and agricultural yield when undertaken, thus making this process vital for civilization. This is representative of economic specialization. Settlements grow all over Peru. Significant technological advancements are achieved. Evidence of agricultural classes, labor force, and social stratification again is noticeable. In the Zaina Valley, where from 4700 BC these canals drew and transported water from springs, in the Andes Mountains region for immense agriculture, use of the canals ended circa 4500 BC, representing periodic social declines and conflict between polities. Clothing alongside social stratification is demonstrable in Peru, 6,000-year-old. Dyed cotton fabric was discovered at the pre-Semitic site in Huancapeta. This marks the earliest recorded use of cotton worldwide. Gossypium, barbadent, and was domesticated by the cultures in the region. Indigo dye was used for selective clothes, representative of higher classes and economic specialization. Priest-like robes dedicated to astrological study and observational seasonal change in relation to Peruvian society's reliance on agriculture were present. Las Vegas culture holds large-scale sanitary structures in coastal adaptation with inheritance of agricultural practices for millennia before alongside newly maize production experiences a sudden collapse circa 4600 BC resulting in a 1,000-year gap within the local archaeological record. Maize production originates from Mexico, but within this millennium continues to rapidly spread all over South America, further south, reflecting strong trade routes, the fusions of ideas and culture and social networks. Luricocha 2, 6000 to 4200 BC. Andreas Persimic 4 ends. Luricocha 3, 4200 to 2500 BC. Andrea Persimic 5 begins. Chiefdoms and fish-gatherer-hunter societies dominate. Luricocha was one of the important mountain encampments at the time. Neolithic period disappears in Argentina circa 4000 BC due to an extensive dry period that will go on to last 2,000 years. This may account for racial distinctions between Patagonia, whose hunter-gatherer populations were made in the south and the west of Argentina. Calendars and chronology. The fifth millennium has become a start point for calendars and chronologies. The year 4750 BC is the retrospective start point for the Assyrian calendar, marking the traditional date for the foundation of a star, some 2,000 years before it's actually happened. Another traditional date is the 19th of July, 4241 BC, marking the supposed beginning of the Egyptian calendar, as calculated retrospectively by Ardard Meyer. The more likely start point is the 19th of July, 2781 BC. One Sothic cycle later, it has generally been believed that the calendar was based on the Halakol dawn rising of Sirius, but that view is now being questioned. According to the Ursher chronology, the creation of Earth happened on the 22nd/the 23rd of October, 4004 BC. This chronology was the work of James Ussher, whose basis was the dates in the Old Testament of the Bible. He estimated that the universe was created by God at either 18 hours on the 22nd Jewish calendar or 9 hours on the 23rd Ussher Lightfoot chronology. Yet another calendar starting date in the 5th millennium is Monday, the 1st of January, 4713 BC, the beginning of the current Julian period, first described by Joseph Justus Scaliger in the 16th century. The Julian period lasts 7,980 years into the year 3268, current era in the next millennium. It is a useful device for date conversions between different calendars. The date of origin has the integer value of 0 in the Julian day count, i.e., in the Julian calendar. The equivalent date in the Gregorian calendar is the 24th of November, 4714 BC. See also North Grippian. Bye for now.